Kavinda Herath. My student number is MS209111058. Today's presentation is DevSecOps. That one I name as Materialization of DevSecOps. Why? The reason is that after finalizing that the projects of the DevSecOps, that we need to know, like we need to show that exactly what is the project. So that is why I said like it's the materialization of the DevSecOps. Today's agenda is objective of the presentation. I discuss from the beginning. After that, case studies. There is some case study that I introduce it, and we'll see that end of the day. So we can see that how this case study is materialization. Be honest, traditional software development systems, DevOps and DevSecOps, the both we need to have a clarifications, the structure and the life cycles of the DevOps and the DevSecOps, tools and implementations, elements of the DevSecOps, and pros and cons of DevSecOps. Not only that, there are plenty of things that from the history and as well as the process is going on. Everything we'll discuss on this presentation today. Natural tendency of human beings. It's a completely different topic for us as IT students, but everyone should be obeyed with the natural tendency. The happy peoples should not only the customers, it might be the developers and the operation team of the system. That means like the customer not only happy finally after materialization of the project, that should be the happy should be goes to the developers and as well as the operations team also. That's why I said that the legacy or traditional process particularly based on the customer satisfaction, not anyone else. Because when you just to go through that, the projects which are traditionally implemented, developed, most of time those projects are mainly focused on the customers, not only the other people, developers or operation team. So that is why that I'm just already mentioned this one as a natural tendency. But human beings, everyone should be happy and everyone expected to be happy. So however, it is also a huge challenge for everyone due to various difficulties faced to keep the certain standards in order to customer satisfaction. Why? That everything we are doing for what? For running the business. For running the business, we need to keep the customer satisfaction. So to find out the solutions for better customers, better products, only that is the life cycles changes may require. Also, the customer-driven software system was the huge challenge for the developers since last few decades. Any systems with errors or vulnerabilities, there are facts to be eliminated or rejected by the customers without depending on their size or investment that has been applied. The customers are rejected if the system is not smoothly running, not frequently having a problems, or it's not the customer orientation. So customer oriented. So what happened ultimately? The product should be changed. Then we should be able to have day by day that the developers and the engineers and the business, especially for the business sector, they might think about what are the solutions for and what could be the better solution for customer satisfaction. So that is why that human beings are always, everyone should be happy. And just I can remember that some history of the natural history of the origin of the species, that book that Charles Darwin was 1865, he said the tendency of the species, how their behaviors, human beings also one of them. So if any kinds of issues on the adaptations, those species are not further be suited to live in this environment. As such, he said, the software or any applications, if the peoples are rejected, if the peoples having issues on that particular software or particular applications, ultimately what happen? Ultimately, that customers are rejected them. So, as a developers, that or as operations or as a business people, so all the parties should be able to dedicate to keep the customer satisfaction, to find out better solutions. So my case study is, just to take some example, like in the food center located at Colombo. That is, Colombo is busy. So if sales are in a pretty good, but unfortunately we recently had a natural disaster. One way, it's a COVID. That disaster is collapsed that all the types of a business, that the in-house business and takeaway business. So what happened ultimately, they need to have a solutions because the business is smoothly run at that time. Now they are expecting to online offer the foods. There is no other way. There is no any in-house. It's completely shut down. So they need to have a solution, because earlier there was no proper solutions, just only billing done by some agents. But now the scenario is completely different. So they expected that the online orders at that time, after few minutes or a particular time, so need to deliver the foods to their doorsteps. That is a huge challenge, but they're expecting some solution from where they develop the software. Through the software, they're trying to manage the system. So that is why they have some restrictions that within the 30 minutes, that during the in between 5 kilometers, within 30 minutes need to deliver the foods. And as well as if maximum 10 kilometers distance, then 45 minutes can be provided. Within that time, then the customer is paid by online, need to foods delivered to the doorsteps. So that's a challenge, that is a case study. We'll see that end of the day how we can manage, how we can implement the system for these case studies. That is my main object of this presentation. Why DevOps? What is the DevOps? There are plenty of questions. Earlier, the people, when they are developing the software, they have the standalone systems. I can just to say that a standalone system. What is that standalone system? There is a separate system for the developers and a separate system for the operations. That is not integrated. So particularly they are doing differently their task job by the developer team and hand over to the operation team. So after that, they tested. If there is a failure, again return back to them. So that was the traditional procedure, or you can say that it is the traditional way and legacy way, right? So now it's a legacy way, but at that time that is the methodology they have applied. So then this is a fantastic solution for that. The way they are doing, developers and the operations are separately together. Finally they decided, like having a proper systems that amalgamate or link both together, developers and operations teams integrated. So then both are working at the same time for the same object and the same tasks. So that is different environment and different solution. So that is DevOps is built up. So DevOps is the solutions for the satisfactions of the whole three parties: customers, developers, and the operations team. We'll see that the parties are together. That is a wonderful customer, developers, and operations. That is enabled with wonderful features, integrated among whole process with remarkable automated strategies without human interactions. So that, of course, is the latest technology applied and automated, because the little integration with the human beings, that system by itself, that running the systems and testing the system, if there is an issue, the issue will return back to us or developers or operations. Then we can, at the same time, they can sort out the issues simultaneously. That is the features of the DevOps. So customer expectations become a reality with the facts of efficiency, accuracy, availability, and the security mainly gaining features instead of DevOps. DevOps is the final solutions that to become a reality of the customer satisfaction. So that is why I say. So development, security, and operations integrated together with DevOps, with the DevSecOps for more secure and reliable services. Again, another concept came. Because why? DevOps it's changed into the DevSecOps. Why? Because DevOps is not much more concentrate on the security. Nowadays, the security is the main problem. For example, like my case studies, when you're considering that my case studies, we'll see that the customers are paying their the money from their credit card, and that is different. Change culture. Culture has been changed. They need to pay the money from the credit card accounts, so they are paid online cash payments. That transactions go on, money transactions having some integrations with our systems and as well as the banking systems. The APIs are in between. Those APIs may having some sort of vulnerabilities. What happen ultimately, that entire system will collapse, that customers, the data will open to the other people, customers accounts can hack from the hackers, and as well as from other sides our bank account is also maybe in a risks. That the risk is high. If the risk is high, again customer is not satisfied, then customer satisfaction goes down. That of course due to the circumstances after the last decades, this may happen. Because for a long time, when you think about that, is when starting the DevOps or the just traditional methods, that not much need to concentrate about the security. But that time there is no any higher risk on that. The technology is behind. Now technology is far more forward us from us actually, the not from the us, especially for the hackers having far more technology than us. So therefore, now we need to have a more and more security system. So that is why DevOps is changed to the DevSecOps to the rectify to issues or sort out the matters which have been according to the security matters to sort out. So DevSecOps is coming to the fields to overcome the issues of the security on the DevSec systems. DevOps systems. So how that this arrival is materialization, and how it affects to the other people's dev and the operations and development teams both separated together, but the security teams also again they come on to this particular scenario. So the system might be a little bit complicated. However, that has been given proper solutions. That of course, like they given many drawbacks to the solutions to fill up the gaps between the security and the intruders or hackers. Right? There were some gaps between them. So that gap is already been shortened after DevSecOps introduced to the market. Therefore, the security teams has more work to be done in these frameworks of the software development workflow, rather than the developers and the operations the work. So then that is why the DevOps teams and the DevSecOps teams are already being in having some sort of connections between them and having some advantage once they are coming to the system. But At the same time, there are some particular, sometimes we can identify some sort of a disadvantage also, and the mutual understanding problems, and as well as the time gap problems. So the pros and cons are already been there. We'll discuss the later part of this presentation. So hopefully, but when you're starting this DevOps, the change in the culture, change in the organization, handling the objections, optimum the business continuity process. At the same time, at that time, that problems there, but after arrival of the DevSecOps, that need to more concentrate on the vulnerability, outdated third-party libraries, licensing issues, sensitive data leakages, vulnerability Docker's base image, and K8 micro misconfigurations, then K8s misconfigurations. Those are the parts that should be covered right after DevSecOps arrivals to the framework. So just to when you comparisons with the traditionals and the DevOps, so the less productive, but it's the more productive DevOps system skill-centric team. So that only particular skills are there dedicated for that one. Teams divided into specialized, right? So most probably, so this particular person is doing the security, this particular person is the coding developments, like, and more time invested in planning, because planning, there is no any proper structure. That this is not the structured methodologies, therefore it will take a time to decide that finalize for the issues what that they may have. So the smaller and frequency released lead to easy schedulings and less time in planning, because there is a proper methodology, so therefore in a DevOps system, so therefore there is a particular people, then time is not much consuming than the traditional systems. Also, traditional systems having a difficult to achieve targets or goals. As usual, they may have a very difficult to handle it, but in this DevOps systems, they frequently released with continuous feedbacks make achieving targets easy, because that having we'll discuss it in the later part of that our presentations, that maybe what sort of things that it's maybe introduce these DevOps systems. Due to that one, it's having a continuity planning, continuity methods, and it may given all the issues of that traditional systems to be in a run its perfect the way. So and this is the actually I got some different books that presentations the definitions has given to the DevOps. DevOps is the one place is one book is defined as DevOps is the union of people's process and product to enable continuous delivery of values to your end users to the, that is a very attractive definition. So that is why I already like to get this one, because the people, process and product, right, continuous delivery, that's very important for this DevOps, and values to given to the users to the values, that is the ultimate goal of the DevOps. And also there is another the deep end definitions of this DevOps. DevOps is a set of practices intended to reduce the time between committing change to system and the change being placed into normal production while ensuring high quality. That means it is ensure that the system is running in a smoothly, not much while running, and given a more assurance than high quality for this one. That also may be like quite interesting definitions. What is DevOps practices? Security and DevOps. This DevOps menu, DevSecOps means it is a security part. This is a dedicated disciplines that comes the security of DevOps infrastructure. Same thing, DevOps added to the security infrastructure, then it will come a DevOps. So there are more great security policies on this DevSecOps and automation. This is a huge change. The systems may be automations, tools are there. So that automation tools are helping us to check whether that is the vulnerabilities or security issues or coding issues that is online. It is maybe like always continuous checking. So that is the important factor. We concentrate on this, and continuous integrations and continuous delivery. Continuous integrations also very important, that always being checked with that the final the server repositories and as well as the backend of the developers. And if there is anything, it's automatically inform us or can be manipulate that if at the same time. So anywhere. So that's why the very important factors of these DevOps practices. Elements of the DevOps, it's like just to having operations and developments both together, having a quality assurance may already there, all three together. Most probably we can just to concentrate over developments and operations, then DevOps is there. But DevOps and the security, what happens? So additionally developments and operations team and the security teams also integrated with this one to carry out the process. That is the important part. It's added to this system. So as here, when you're at the security, what happened? Always that is being having some monitoring activities and running on. The always and continuously monitoring activities running, that entire systems will having a framework of protections of the security. If goes like that, security part is in a major and main components and the main characteristics of the framework. So this is we can see that like Venn diagrams, when you say the then if you have your operations and developments, then DevOps are there both in this Venn diagram. And as well as the additionally information security part is also added here. Then what happened? It made having a new concepts, DevSecOps and AppSec and SecOps. Those are the new elements added once we are having a security systems here. The same thing that it's mentioned here, the DevOps versus the DevSecOps. Traditional software development systems also need to have discussed here, because otherwise we might have know about like what that history was happened. So that is why very important to compare with the devs and the traditional methods or the previous methods that has been used by the developers. Right, so waterfall model and the agile model, those were the models that has been used the couple of decades to develop the softwares. So waterfall model is the very famous model, and as also being for a long time, it has supported to developers to implement developed their software systems. So in this, the way of the waterfall is like doing the feasibility of the, if you're before starting the developments, that you're doing the feasibility studies. They are doing collecting the facts, that collecting the facts as traditionally, and after that they may come to the next steps and requirement analysis and the specification. Requirement analysis and the specification, as usual, that they just to see whether that what is the main object of that the projects, and according to that they analyze and collect the facts. Then they design. So they design the procedure according to the facts that he may collected. So and that design, once you're done, it means then you can't do second time, because that design is depend on the facts that he may collected earlier. So that is a one-time design. So at that time, if there is any alterations, but can do it, but unfortunately at this moment this product is not with the customer, so therefore they can't do anything, right, on these systems. After that, if you finalize the design, it goes to the next steps to coding. Then according to that, developers are doing all the coding of the system, right? So doing the code, everything, if there is a code any issues, that they do that the issues at the same time and fix it, all the backup, all the issues. Then next steps is the testing. They will test the software, how it works, and then it will hand over to the operations. Then they will do the maintenance, so that everything is completed, hand over to the team, and they will do in the maintenance. If there is any circumstances having some major requirements, different requirements, come back to the waterfall. That waterfall is due to the linear model that can't be do all the changes after finalize. So that is the main drawback of this system. Any security issues, any sort of major changes not applicable on this waterfall model. So then after the waterfall, then the developers change to the agile model. Agile model is now in a different strategies to use to the develop, right? It's good strategies. So what they have done is like they have iterations. That first iterations that they develop a software, it's maybe use the same methodologies pattern to the waterfall, right? The whole collect all the requirements, designs, development, and developments, and the testing, again developments, and review. We'll check whether that if it's having issues, then more concentrate than the waterfall, this agile systems, and hand over to the operations to run the system. So once we have, after handing over to the system to the operations, while running the operations, if they identified some issues or any amendments, what they are doing is, again they will go ahead with the second iterations. Once they have done the second, then all the patches, whatever that the bugs will sort out from the second iterations, and will hand over again. They will hand over to the again run to the systems, to the operations. So then if there is another, after some times may having some issues or the kinds of vulnerabilities changes, yes, of course, like third iterations also may be possible. Likewise, this agile model is the better than the waterfall, because having a solutions if there is any alterations, right? But the time to time the entire things change. It might having the financial issues, and as well as again having a customer may having not unsatisfactions for these issues. The old bugs are not rectified as soon as possible. It will take a time. It's not suddenly, but by today or tomorrow. It will take a time. So that, of course, agile systems is a linear still. So that's why DevOps life cycles is dominated by the traditional systems. It is doing what? It is generally having a structure is this dev system, plan, code, build, test. Then integrations, develop, deploy, operate, monitor. There is some circulations. There is no any end, because why? It's a kind of a circles, right? It is running continuously here. Continuous development. If there is any changes, yes, can do it. And continuous testing, yes, it may help. And continuous integration, yep, integration is already continuous, and continuous deployment and continuous monitoring. Due to the facts that the contents or procedures, what happened, that this is a non-linear circumstance, non-linear patterns. So therefore, it may have a changes in between if something happened simultaneously at the same time. The customer is very happy if there is any bug, if there is any systems, if there is any security issues, yes, can be sorted out. So that is why DevOps life cycle is Very important. How that this system is running as like this? Because why? It may having developed tools, DevOps tools. The tools are the major important factors, elements to help to run these DevOps systems smoothly. So that's why the tools are, all the tools will help the monitoring part and as well as the continuous, the always, right? So planning, Git, Jira, and as well as software builds, also using some Puppet, it's very popular one, so I'm just mentioned. And developments is Jenkins, very popular, Jenkins for developer, and as well as Docker, both are the very famous tools. And also at the codings using the Gits, and as well as Satish, and likewise testing part also very famous. Testnet is most popular, and JUnit and C also very popular for testing process. Monitoring, Nagios, it's very famous tool using Uplunk and Slack, both are also the very popular monitoring tools for DevOps. Those tools are helping to continually running the systems. And the DevSecOps life cycles. Additionally, add what? Additionally, having a security part, so both for the both sides, right? Otherwise, the same, no any differences. The both part having a more security elements is added to the life cycles for DevSecOps. So that is a difference. So therefore, I'm not just to as a framework, not big differences. The framework are the same, but only change is inside the framework, the working schedules and having different operations are having a sort of a more operations, more testings, more code testings, more monitorings added for this DevSecOps life cycle. So principles of DevSecOps, positioning and readiness, drills, awareness, chose, those are the principles that is already been having. If these principles are given more and more security elements to the DevSecOps. Each security is identifying and fixed on at time, that is a positioning. So that we'll see that the security identifications, if there is any security bugs, security is identified, then what it has been doing, actually that is fix the bugs at the same time. We'll see that how the system is running. And ruggedness means one's code must withstand critique. The codes, right, must stand with critique. So, and drills read team vulnerabilities and use them in software. And weaknesses, sometimes may having the software some weaknesses that also may be logged, and we can expect it. As such, there are plenty of principles are there for DevSecOps to rectify the issues and at the same time simultaneously figure out the issues. The both doing the simultaneously with using the tools. Technology requiring DevOps, continuous developments, continuous testing, continuous integrations, continuous developments, and continuous deployed the second time, and continuous learning and monitoring, and also that having a best practices of this DevSecOps, pre-commit hooks, source compositions analysis, static app security testing, dynamic app security testing, security in infrastructure as code, secure management. So those are the main and major elements and the factors that are running on that DevOps practices as the practices to rectify the issues or rectify the having a smoothly running the system. So those are the main factors. There's just a framework is like DevOps initial frameworks is look like this, but it's look like as a bit complicated comparatively the DevOps, because the security is applied to each and every centers, and especially the whole infrastructure is a security infrastructure is dedicated to this DevOps initial framework. And the planning board, development environments and testing environment, production environment. So each and every segments particularly think about the security. This DevSecOps not given any chance of having vulnerabilities or any chance of the security issues to have this coding system. So that is why it's not only the one place they are standing and see whether that is having issue. No, their plan is to each and every point, each and every segments that having a given a rule and regulations. But I need to mention here, but that these developers, there is no particular security developers, right? This coding is not doing the security development. Security is having a security persons to give them a framework. These are the expectations. A developer is a developer. Same developer used to the DevOps developer is using the DevSecOps. No changes. But that the bunch of requirements for security engineers are given them by officially. And these are the expected security vulnerabilities you must be recovered. So everything that should be in place. After that, whole finish that the each and every process, what happened ultimately hand over that one to the security testing. At that time they'll start to test the security. At that time they'll start to test the security. Then they can identify if there is any coding issues for the vulnerabilities. That what happens is again return back them and tell them to rectify issues, and then second times again come back to this one. Then only if that finalized hand over to the operations again, that if there is operations while doing in operation security, if there is one again hand over at the same time. So then developers and security engineers, operations, each and every time involved in these tasks be on alerts. So because that is why testing part, and as well as from the here is the monitoring part, that is the process that whole may amalgamate each others and integrate, right, using the tools that do those. Everything is depend on the automated tools. So that is the fantastic way of approaching to identifying the rectifying the issues on this or DevSecOps, because always they are running on not just only the manual, it is automated tools, right? The tools is, if there is, for example, I can say that if the system is running now, let's find the bug is identified by the system tool, right? Bug is identified the system tool. So what happened? So then after that, when you identify the bugs, that the system itself, it's move to the next steps, and it may shows as from the monitoring parts can identify. I will show you that the later part of this presentations, that how could you identify the issues. So then after that, what happened? If there is issue, then can identify at the same time. So it's moving to the development teams or a security engineer. Then the security engineer says that there is a sort of a kinds of a vulnerability, so some sort of security issues. Then development teams, what they are going to do is that they will rectify the issues and upload it. That simultaneously, what happens, the systems will running it smoothly, and it's the things will come up to the normal within the couple of hours or couple of days. So it not make time, so at the same time can rectify this because of these reasons, the security environment. So but everywhere it's a security, not only the one place. We can't say that this place is security. No, that each and every points, it's considerations of the security part, and for everywhere. So it's maybe sometimes the same thing that I just mentioned since earlier. So we having a more security is this one, because security engineering is there, and as well as security operations and compliance operations, security science, everything is maybe applying to in this one to be run on in smooth running. So it's having some examples like here, DevOps is called into sense of security, because it's if you're having a code, for example, like it's a code, the developer has an opportunity to avoid introducing security vulnerabilities in their IDs, right? So sometimes maybe if any place having a gap, so it will identify in the another place, another positions that if when you're in other segments, when you're testing automated, because the automated tools that we are not the manual, so no need to much worry about that. Automated dynamics and the systems are finding automatically if there is any issues. For most probably the monitoring also same, it's also having a features of the automatic softwares. If there is something in the goes wrong, that is highlighted in the systems and shows that here this is the place that where something is goes wrong identified. So at that times only we need to go ahead with an act, but 24 by alerts if the technical peoples, the production people, so then they can identify the issue. Here is that the tools with the DevOps systems, DevSecOps systems is how it runs. That the most popular tools which are Jenkins is the integrations, very popular tools that using, and Git is the other more popular tools using for the planning, coding. Right, it's very helpful for the developers. So because it is an nonlinear sequences, I will explain that one. It's in the latter part of that this one. And Mavens also will popular one. C testing for testing purposes, that this C software, and JUnits is also most popular. And Nagios is monitoring tools as an Uplink Stack. All three are popular, but this Nagios is very popular among the technicians in these industries to check. And Docker is to deploy, right, operates the many purposes that is using the Docker tools. And Puppet is fantastic tools that most of the developers are using and deploying to the systems. So this Jenkins is doing a very, and Bamboo also their integrations doing, but doing very big role in this phenomena. Why I'm saying like this? Because it is always to keep the integration part of that operations, and as well as development and the operations. So if there is any differences between that both parties, that integration part is done by the Jenkins and or Bamboo integration softwares. So that of course like doing very high the risks and high operation responsibilities of that particular tools. It is then also very important for the our operation and development teams for that particular tools to know about in deeply how them are running. And the other one is like this is same thing as it's just defined here, because why if there is a deployed, there is a secure coding systems defining, and as well as design also that secure part they will system designing life cycles, that of course having some sort of a security part. So because that each and every times, but if in this DevSecOps it's having a security tag to be identified if there is some different circumstances to happening. So from the tools that I just get continuous development, from that under that the Git is the GitHub, and the Git is the most popular tools that using for deployments. So because why that most of developers are very interesting and as well as very important, because that ability of the using the centralized and a repository and as well as the local repository simultaneously. If there is some changes done by the locally, that the from the server repository also maybe can upgraded. So what happens is goes wrong something in somewhere, so that the developer is no need to worry about, because at this moment the same process, the same content is the same coding systems is with him if any case happening. So that is why, because this is using that the fantastic technology that the GitHub's that the push and pull methodologies, the repository, local repository having a to keep the non-linear concepts. So always, for example, I can say that some example for when if am I doing some developing into my computer, then I already get the whole the repository on the server to pull to the my update my personal laptops or desktop or whatever that you are doing the software. So after that, once you are done the upgradations, your software developments or whatever kinds of upgrade, then you can commit it to the push to the repository to the server. So, and of course, like if there is any other persons in that doing the same changes, but particularly it shows that your is a unique changes has been done. So then therefore everyone having a unique separate changes repositories on this server. So that is of course that the source uniqueness of the source. So that fantastic, that is of course like having characteristics of the Git, therefore it is more popular, this one. Another thing is that continuous integrations, Jenkins, as I mentioned that's a few minutes before, right? Jenkins is doing some integration part of from the in this the process of DevSec, DevOps and DevSecOps, both frameworks. So if having some sort of a changes in done in the coding systems, so what happens? So he may check whether that, and he may have a capable of informing where that the changes has been done. Likewise, that links having a whole keep coordinating with that whole the integrations, both the developments and as well as the operations, both sides simultaneously on time. So that's why they're very important for this one, for this Jenkins duty, actually automated system duty. So here it's maybe showing, but not only that one, actually keep the coordination with the one particular tools, the many tools he may that Jenkins is having a capability to keep that the link between other whole sort of tools what they are currently running. So that is why this is very important tools, very popular among the worlds to do among the developers. So because that is given fully support, automation supports to identify and keep a cooperations in between that each and every tools wherever that is running on the system, right? And Jenkins, it's mentioned that his duties as like this: developers commits the code to the source code's repository. Jenkins checks the changes made, and Jenkins recognizes the commits and pull them to create a new building on its server, right? It's a build fails, developers receives a notification. So we'll see that it's very already been informed that if that something is wrong, so this here in this place is wrong, so then then its developers are very keen to know, like, yes, it's happening, something goes wrong, so then it need to be it may be sent to the particular areas, particular developers to look into that matter. So that of course like is doing and testing tools in running automated testing. When the tests are finished, Jenkins sends sends test results to developers. We'll see that how intelligence and automated features are there in Jenkins. If something is finished in the testing part, what happens, so that is already being informed to the developers. And here is the results of this one. A successful build is developed to the production server where Ansible and Jenkins continues to check the source codes repository for new changes. If something happens, so that it will already be keeping updated by the Jenkins. So integrated the tools is, as Jenkins is doing a very huge job in this DevSecOps and DevOps frameworks. So it's the same thing as it is mentioned here, right? How that it will help, and CI and CD flows. It's very important to keep on for the supporting to the developers, right? How that it will integrated with each other. So here is the some other tools for the testing, the continuous testing. But testing is not just a testing, it's a continuous testing. That means that testing is running continuously. So JUnits and Cucumber, Maven, Selenium, right? C, I said that. So that those popular testing tools, right? Those tools are in testing for the developed the codes which are developed by the developers team to test before that to hand over to the integrated with the operations. So that's why before the final results that they'll check whether that if there is any issues. If there is any issues, again return back them to do it like to continuous and rectify the issues or the vulnerabilities there. Then after that come back to this one. So that is why this is already doing just the path as this. It is not just to end, it's not the blind end, it is a continuous, it's continuous. Test, released, deploy, right? Operates, monitor and plan, code, build, test. Again, it's maybe the circulations, it's a circulations, right? And continuous, the test is also having a not only one place, the test is already being testing each and every points where needs also, right? So testing part, so it's very important continuous testing, because the testing maybe sometimes some due to some vulnerabilities it may having some issues. So therefore continuous testing is a very important factor of the DevOps and as well as DevSecOps both. So as I mentioned, sometimes some of these security points, the security testings is pre-commit hooks, source compositions analysis, static app security testing, dynamic app security testing, security in infrastructure as code, secure management. So those are the area where that they are most probably concentrates while doing the security testing. So it's a dynamic app security testing. So those sort of testing methodologies are applied by the automated testing methodologies are applied by this our system. So the security framework to be identified that sort of kinds of issues on the system. So and testing the tools, there are several testing tools I just already mentioned. Having a proper testing tools like a CI/CD pipelines already mentions here, trigger ARA, run SAST tools, and SAC build time checkers is SAC SCA, and test time checks DAST AST, deploy time checks, pre-development checks, and also the deploy time checking. There is two types, that pre-development checks and post-development checks. The post-development checks having a security scanning, vulnerability scanning, bug bounty program, threat intelligence. We'll see that how that it's maybe having a sort of testing methodologies applied in this here, and continuous deployment still. So we going on having also in the different segments, continuous developments, and team, SCM, VCM, CI server, AUT, QA, development period. So I will discuss about further in here, because that after deployments, so what happened? So deployment is the place where that the software is going to be tested. Tested means like it's going to be coding is going to be applied, right, with the operations. So at that time all the servers are integrated, all the servers are being updated and lively running. The issues are already being integrated each other. So this is a time where can find that how that our system is, the developed system is how working, and what are the live running, the testing, what are the issues that can be identified. This is the time, so deployment time. So because it's a CI server and the quality testing, development periods, everything is in all the time at the same time, simultaneously running each other in this the deployment period. So but it is continuous, right, not in stopping. Stop one service, stop to check whether that this ecosystem is, no, each and every servers are running at the same time. So for that is of course like testing what with the tools, development tools. What are the tools that configuration management tools is using, and containerization tools also using. So the configuration management tools, it's very popular. Puppet, I'll say that, and as well as CellStack and Ansible. So and also Docker and Kubernetes. Kubernetes is very, and Docker also same the very popular development tool which is using by the developers. And here it's the like streamline. So how that the procedure is moving towards to the from coding to monitor, right? And each and every area where that it's going some sort of activities, some of testings, how it going on smoothly, as this one is showing. The code and code developments and code review, continuous integrations tools, and the build, that version controls, SCS, merging, build status. Likewise, finally, monitoring apps and performance and UX, the monitoring part is doing. At the same thing, it's here mentions is not more further to discuss and there, but the same implementation process and for the until the monitoring part deployment is mentioned in these areas, that each and every segments that their responsibilities is mentioned. Most of times that the DevSec is the security part is discussed in each and every segments to further on to look into that. Before that, it's to move into then another step. Here is the monitoring. This is the very, very important segment of this framework. So because why this should be a 24/7 monitoring system, because from here only can identify that if there is any sort of a something is going wrong, that first place that can visibly take on to identify. So to your to the people, those who are there, so then they are the people who may inform that the system having some sort of issues or something is going wrong. So this 24 hours should be running, and as well as it's very important to be on alert to in this the monitoring systems. So first of all, that its tools is a very important, because that the tool is not perfectly running, so that maybe you're may having some sort of a doubt. So therefore continuous monitoring tools are very, very important. Nagios, that is why I've said mentions earlier, also very popular tools to having a monitors. But not only that, there are many New Lake and Sperlink, like there are many monitoring tools are available. So that of course, like it's this monitoring each and every segments, each and every places that it's already being on the screen, and see just what is happening. So what happened, what sort of the things, sort of issues are mentioned, so then everything can do it. Like I can show you that it's an interface of the monitoring part here actually. So you can see some sort of the monitoring the screens, that if there is a, for example, like it shows that the second part HTTP latency, some seconds that it's having some sort of a latency, that means having some the reasons, right, on that particular place. So that time so need to be alert on, like, so the next steps what should be to like all that. Not only this, there are plenty of these tools are given about the systems, about the codings, about that particular tools and integration, so how it works and that then this hope to sort out that the matters. So that is why monitoring is also having the many segments inside the monitoring. That of course it's a particular subjects that we need to concentrate as a security personnel about this monitoring stage. So because why it is the security operations centers, the SOC is the main place where that it's doing the monitoring stuff. So it's it is available in different the diagnostics methodologies for the to doing the this one to keep a run in continuous monitoring part, and to attempt that if there is some sort of issues, particularly if you identify, so then your duty is to be attempt on that man. But system by itself, it is already been looking to that matters 24/7. Most security risks nowadays having microservice, more attack services, and containers, more attack services, and cloud platforms, more attack services, and Kubernetes, more attack services. The more security risks are nowadays already been there each and every segments. So advantages of the DevSecOps, we can see that spot vulnerabilities and bug early, and leverage open source with confidence, aware cost or resource management, make developers security aware, and reduce legal risks and liability. So hopefully, but some sort of issues, some advantages actually. These are the kinds of advantages on this one. So advantages and the disadvantages also there. Spot vulnerabilities and bugs early, that means like you can identify the bugs early, right? Open source with confidence, leverage and aware cost of resources management. So it's maybe cost, of course, like it's sometimes maybe considering as a disadvantage, but however it can cost reuse, because the system by itself, when you started, not the people are involved in to run anything. So if that the system is like automated, so that is why if the system is running smoothly, may your safe side. So and developer security aware, and also always in alerts, right? Risks and reliability is more less. So advantages more are there, and efficiency, customer satisfaction, agile, and understanding and the bottlenecks, inconsistency, and no limitations of applications, automations, communications integrated to reduce the breakdowns, continuous delivery developments. Those are the advantages. Disadvantages also being identified. Deploy level issues such as external and internal testing. So sometimes, yeah, so a level of some disadvantages also there, that doing the internal and external testing. Less security, but proposed new solutions as DevOps, and operations and development teams be separated. Sometimes may have some sort of differences in between them, because this is completely depend on them. But of course, like challenge with the costs and costs and legacy codes, delay to be executed, and human weaknesses such as soft skills, team spirits, laziness. So those are the human weaknesses if having to all to keep one table, maybe sometimes also for difficult task for us. Also, but the bottleneck of the applications delivery process is major disadvantage of the DevOps. Complicated security parameters are there. More security testing is sometimes you might think that is a headache, right? For developers, it says, okay, security personnel say it's a fantastic, it's a wonderful, but developers it's a headache, right? System might be unaffordable the system is, maybe for small systems are there, it's not actually interesting. For small business peoples are not interesting, right? Huge systems may still sometimes may agree to go ahead with this one. So those are the things that overall today, end of the day, like I already mentioned, so I discuss that and you may get the idea about what is the development life cycles, why it's required to DevOps and DevSecOps, the system frameworks, what are the importance of the system frameworks for the developers and the operations and the security. So amalgamates that each other, how could we integrate each the segments together. So everything will discussed, and further I need to quite have some interest on that the particular I mentioned the case studies. If that now you have maybe solutions exactly in your mind, because why that if you have some sort of issues, like some sort of developments like sophisticated the delivery systems through the software or applications, it's very easy. Then you can start with the DevSecOps, the framework to develop their software. Because why the security is there? Because money in credit card is used by them to pay the money to the customers for the company, and as well as they're expecting the particular times. At that time you need to come on time, and they may, because why the people are ordering like this, because they're hungry. If they order like, it's even for us as a human being, I said, like, to be happiness and the customer satisfaction is 100%. How will give you, they're hungry people are ordering the foods that then they're expecting to come right within a particular period's times has allocated. If they're coming and ring the bell, they are very happy customers, right? Very happy customers. So not like that it's because of it's the hungry persons are hungry. Everyone is doing for eat for the foods and the correct times to get the food. So that is why I said, like, if there is a particular perfect systems is available, is there, so we developed without any issues, without any errors, and the customers believe 100% that my money is credited to directly for them and on time. So no need to call and tell that I already being ordered the order, so at what time it will be coming. So not necessary. So they need to, what they have to do is just to for 5 minutes times to go fill the forms and send it. Then after that waiting to ring the bell. If the ring the bell by the delivery persons, that is the 100% satisfied customer. So that is the customer satisfaction. If the customer satisfaction, operation and developers are has satisfied, and as well as operations team is satisfied, and security team is completely satisfied, and assurance that this is our customers, then business continuity plan is 100% success. Then business community is success. That is the ultimate goal of that our development, whatever, even used to any sort of the development systems. Hopefully this is the my presentations that actually end of this my presentation. Thank you very much for giving this opportunity actually for to me to complete that my project in successfully about the materializations of DevSecOps, because this is the thing that I learned about that my presentations than you, especially because this is a wonderful topic that you have been selected. So thank you very much. Wonderful day. Have a nice day.